You heard him on Real Roots Radio. Wednesdays with Wyatt. Remember that?
Buddy, that's a throwback.
What was that, 10 years ago at least?
Yeah, because I started in April of 2014.
April of 14?
Yeah,
10 years
10
ago.
years ago, man.
10 years ago. You were just finishing up high school, I think.
Yes. Yeah, I was 19, and you had called me out of the blue. You knew I knew Chubby Howard really well, and obviously I was on Wednesday nights, but also going to be jumping in on Saturdays and Sundays with Chubby back in those days. So,
yeah.
And that was remember, I'll never forget, you said, man, would you ever want to come up here and be on the air? And I remember thinking, well, I've never done that, and I don't know if I really do want to do that. It was so overwhelming to me.
Well, you were starting to pick and sing and write songs, and you were hanging out with all the country pickers in the neighborhood and trying to make some Nashville connections. Bob Fisher runs Imagine That Tool Rental in Wilmington.
Buddy.
And I swear, it was about 3 years before that. He said, listen to this. He said, this kid's only about 16. He played me a tape out in the shop.
I never knew that.
And he was some relation to your mom or dad.
Uncle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great
and so that's the first time I heard of you. Then I started hearing you hanging around, some of the fairs and honky tonks, trying to pick and sing a little bit.
Yeah.
And I knew you and Chubby had made a connection or two.
Yep.
And
turned into a small world, as you know.
Yeah. But I thought, well, before we bring in a co-host with Chubby, let Wyatt learn how to do this. let him play records and talk on the radio a little bit.
And I had a ball. I got to really focus and spotlight some of my favorite songwriters I was meeting at that time in Nashville and have them call in. And those were I'll never forget those days. Those were special to me.
Yeah. Well, and then you spent 2 or 3 years as Chubby's co-host every weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And what an education from that guy.
Oh, yes. To put it lightly, yes. He was obviously with everybody in the world and their brother. He was everybody's best friend. We all know that. And
everybody knew Chubby, and everybody knew him, loved him.
Well, it was a full circle moment for me because in the garage working with my grandpa back home, that's all we listened to on the weekends. We were restoring all kinds of cars and trucks, and I was holding the light every way but right, listening to Chubby Howard. That's what we did. So that voice, it meant the world to me.
And so you're back home. You said working on restoring vehicles and hanging out in the garage with your grandpa.
Yep.
That was in South Charleston.
Yes, sure was. Selma, to be exact, just outside. In between South Charleston and Cedarville. So, Clark County, man.
Yeah, that's the neighborhood. Well, that's why you're back in town now. The fair tonight, you brought a whole raft of Nashville cats with you. You guys are going to pick and sing tonight at the fair. What stage?
It's the big tent stage where they have a lot of their entertainment there. And we'll be on at 7 o'clock, and it's a full band show. We're going to have fun, and I might do a little acoustic thing in between somewhere and talk about some of the songs I've had recorded by other artists and be able to tell more stories in an acoustic setting too.
Yeah, and probably no extra ticket at that stage, is there?
No, it's just an entry to the fair.
There you go. Clark County Fair tonight. Bill Perk called me a while ago, and they're going to do a little bluegrass duo, I think, before you guys.
Oh, great.
And then it's Wyatt. And how'd you get from South Charleston? How'd you get from Selma to Nashville?
A long road. My first introduction to Nashville, a journey comes with stepping stones, at least in my case. There's different chapters along the way, but the first stepping stone was one of my grandpa's ironworking buddies had a daughter that married a guy down in Nashville that his dad happened to be Merle Kilgore.
Okay.
So Steve Kilgore was going to do a festival in Nashville, kind of a tribute to his dad. His dad wrote Ring of Fire. Wolverton Mountain, and so many other great sons. He's a legend.
Yeah, he managed Hank Jr. for years.
Exactly. And
if he could have been managed.
There is that. Hog-tied him, I guess.
Yeah.
But they were having a little festival there, and they said, well, why don't you bring Wyatt down? A 14-year-old Wyatt that had no business being down there. Maybe had 10 or 15 songs to his name. And so I went down there and had a ball. I got to sing more and more that Merle Kilgore wrote for Webb Pierce on the show. And I left that CD with them 10 or 15 just awful songs everywhere I could leave it, every little honky-tonk and bar. And I happened to leave one there across from where we were doing that festival at the Best Western right there by BMI in Nashville. And we went home, didn't think nothing of it. And the next week I get a call from Mark Miller from Sawyer Brown, because the guy that was running that Best Western bar had that CD running as house music the following week while there was people in there eating lunch or whatever. So Mark went in there and had lunch and had heard that CD and asked the sound guy, who is this? I said, well, here's this cover or whatever. Call this number on there. So next thing I knew, I had a management deal.
There you go.
And it just, that relationship led to other relationships, and I didn't.
Well, the best thing that happened is you married up.
Well, there is that. That is both of us.
Yeah.
Miss Holly, she'll get you in line. So we've been married about 5 years now.
Yeah.
But,
well, we remember that. I couldn't be there, but I think a lot of my family went out, and they went out to see you and Holly because they love both of you, but they went out to see Chubby as your best man.
I don't know if we had a record or not, but he was 93 at the time. If you can find an older groomsman, let me know. But, man, you know what was so funny? And I, oh, my gosh, I'll never forget this. He had knocked out a tooth the week before. And, by God, some of them pictures smiling or whatever, right on that side or whatever, he was missing a tooth.
Yeah. That's all right when you're 93.
Right. But he was still smiling, I tell you.
Yeah. Well, it's been a busy last couple of years. I know writing-wise, you've written some songs that have really gotten some of the right attention. You got some new cuts out on the radio. Zach Top, I guess, is a good one.
Yeah, man. That's a guy that we all need in the world of country music.
Yeah.
Picker, singer, and great writer. I wrote it with him. His single is called Sounds Like the Radio.
Yeah.
We might have pandered a little bit to get him to play it on the radio, but every now and then you need that.
Yeah, it happens. You had a couple of other big cuts that are floating around with some star artists.
Zach is probably the biggest thing right now because they're playing it on the radio, but, I mean, there's a lot of artists that I've been fortunate enough to know, like Luke Combs and Riley Green and Cody Johnson, that have let me be a part of records that I'm able to hang on my wall now,
yeah.
You know, and
well, you're really building a career.
Well, we're having fun too, man. I love getting in those rooms and kind of switching hats. You know, sometimes it's easier to write for other folks. Some of the pressure's off compared to writing for yourself.
Yeah.
And so it's a blast, and I'm truly blessed to be able to be around some of the best writers in Nashville, because, I mean, iron always sharpens iron. So
it's special.
That's how I've always looked at it. And
well, and I know we've got a tune or two that you've produced of your own. So are you doing more writing or more performing?
I'm kind of splitting my time. You know, the artist side of my brain, we're going out on the weekends and trying to play the honky tonks and the fairs and the festivals, and I'm having a ball doing that and releasing some of these songs that some of those other artists might have wanted, or that's been the biggest battle. What do I keep that for myself, or do I, you know, pitch this to so and so? But at this time, I'm writing like Monday through Friday, and I never really know who I've got on the calendar. It might be some of those artists I named. It might be regular co-writer buddies of mine. But
yeah,
I'm kind of having fun switching back and forth.
Are you preparing to release any music of yours?
Yes. So there was 2 songs that came out maybe a month ago, and we've got 2 more coming out that'll round out the first packaged album. And I'm guessing right now, but it'll probably be in the next couple months we'll be doing that, and then we're right back in the studio to follow that up and just kind of have a consistent stream of songs coming out. You know, for my diehard fans that have been here since 10 years ago, and those new faces that social media happens to steer towards my music. So,
yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, everybody at Clark County Fair will get a taste of it tonight. It'll be country. It'll be traditional country. It'll be modern country. It'll be new country. It'll be acoustic country.
It's a little bit of everything, truly.
It'll be all Wyatt.
Yeah.
Well,
whether they want it or not.
Yeah.